2. Hello, everybody. Hebrew77 here, and welcome to another Shifty Sunday broadcast. I'm your host, Hebrew, along with God's Armor and Sagittarically Speaking. And we are here tonight. We're going to talk about some subjects. We're actually going to talk about a lot of the Mandela effects that have taken place. It's more of a retrospective on the Mandela effects, and Sagittarically Speaking brought it up. Before we jump right into it, I'll go ahead and do my usual and ask you guys how was your weekend, guys?
Mine was good. Went to the grandson's baseball game. He scored every time except the last time. He made it clean home 3 times. So, yeah, pretty good weekend. Got my Wednesday word video ready. Just got it ready to put up. So, good to go.
Yeah, same here. I had a little bit of nostalgia. I grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio, and for the past little over a year now, I've been living in St. Petersburg, Florida. And in Cincinnati, they have a Cincinnati style chili. It's kind of like a Greek style chili. I wouldn't even begin to know how to describe it, except for the fact that it's hard to get if you're not in Cincinnati. But the local grocery store I found down here actually carries it, and I was able to make me some. It was almost like being back home. I grew up on that stuff.
Yeah, the only thing I don't like is that white chili. Ugh, I can't stand the white chili, I got to tell you. But I love my chili hot. Do you like your chili hot?
Oh yeah, for sure. Whenever the president or whatever comes to Cincinnati, there's a couple of those. They always go there. They make them like over spaghetti, and it's like spaghetti, chili, and then you have the option of onions and beans, and then they sprinkle grated cheddar cheese on over top of all of that, and um, and then they also offer a chili dog. It's almost like they call it a cheese coney. It's kind of like uh, it was popular in um, the old amusement parks back in the day. Like there was a Coney Island in Cincinnati, and the cheese coney, I guess, got its name from the Coney Island nostalgia or whatever. But yeah, it's all good stuff. I mean, it's just one of those things where it's hard to describe the flavor. It almost has like a slight hint of cinnamon to it, I guess, for lack of a better word. Even though cinnamon really doesn't do it justice, it's hard to explain. But it is a spicy, robust chili.
Yeah, I love mine hot. I've been growing hot peppers. Hopefully they come out good this year. I had a good crop last year. Man, I tell you, I got a bunch. I got a friend that actually makes hot chili sauce. And so what I do is after I harvest my peppers, I give him a whole bunch of the hot peppers and trade for a couple jars of his hot pepper sauce. It's really good. So
Oh, I love hot sauce, hot peppers. A lot of times when I make my own chili, I put a minimum of 2 habanero peppers in it while it's cooking.
Yeah, I also grow my own hot peppers. I love them too. I put them on everything. Put them on my pizza, my chili. Yeah, I like my chili spicy. My lip ain't sweating after a bowl of chili. It ain't enough. Gotta have a sweat.
you got that right, man. I tell you what, you and I sound like we have the same taste when it comes to hotness, man. I like mine hot, but I don't like it so hot that you can't taste the flavor.
Yeah, exactly. I ain't into the seeing how hot it is. See if I can, prove myself that I can eat the hot stuff now. But I like it spicy. I
Right.
like like you said. I like the taste. I like to taste everything. I don't want to overpower it with pepper.
Yeah, you can easily overpower it too if you don't know what you're doing. And the same thing with hot salsa and hot wings and anything that I guess
Yeah.
that comes. And I mean, they make those extremely hot wings like the El Diablo wings or whatever. I mean, yeah, in my 20s, I might try to win the hot wing challenge, but and my elder, as I've grown a few whiskers under my beard, I've learned that regular hot's just fine with me.
Did you burn the whiskers off of your beard? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, something like that. There was some whiskers burned. I just don't know if they were necessarily on my beard.
Yeah, I love hot peppers sliced up on my pizza too. It's awesome. I like them baked on though. I don't like them cold. I slice them up. Well, my wife does, I should say. She takes care of me. But we slice them up and put them on when we bake it, so they bake in.
3 things I've got to have on my pizza: red crushed chili peppers, the cheese, the Parmesan cheese, and some garlic salt. I always got to put garlic salt on it. If I don't have garlic salt, what I'll do is I'll crush some fresh garlic over it, with one of those garlic smashers. But that's the 3 things. Got to have those 3 things every time we have pizza. Otherwise, ain't eating it. Sorry.
Yeah, I like the garlic salt, garlic powder. Definitely put that on my pizza. Of course, pepperoni. I'm a carnivore, so the more meat, the better. Minimum of at least pepperoni. Covered.
Got to eat your pizza like a man.
That's right. Eddie
Yeah,
Von Keen in the house. Good to see Eddie.
Yeah, and it's the real one. It's not the preposter.
Yeah, the real one got a wrench, so you know he's real when he's on your channel. He's got the wrench.
So, my weekend went okay, except the fact that I had to dry up all my floors. I spoke about this. This will be like, the 3rd time I probably talked about it, but I'll talk about it again. What the hell? Hot water heater went out. Had to go out and get one of those giant fans from Home Depot and dried up the carpet. I'll tell you what, man. I took a vacuum, one of those wet dry vacs, the big one, sucked up all the water, and then took that giant fan, blew it on there for a couple days, and I'll tell you what, man, that carpet's bone dry now. It's nice, but it smells. Now I got to get the smell out of it. I got to Febreze it and vacuum it down and all that good stuff. So I still got a lot of work to do. And then, of course, I got to replace the hot water heater. That's going to be a what.
Yeah, they're not cheap. I got to get one myself before winter, so I know your pain. What'd you say?
Now, I think that those hot water heaters, I think they kind of work. I might be mistaken, but I know there's a lot of metal and some copper inside them, so you might get some type of discount by trading in the old one. Don't just throw it out on the road or anything. Keep it, because that the metal in that hot water heater has some value. You might be able to at least recover 10 or 20% of the cost of the new one and trading in the old one.
I thought about doing that, but it's kind of more pain than what it's worth, and there's not a lot of places that will take them simply because of the safety factor. I don't know if there's still might be a little bit of gas left in them. I'm not sure, but I guess there's not, but I just get kind of paranoid about that kind of thing.
A lot of times the same guys that bring the new one, if you're having it delivered, will take the old one. I don't know. I guess I don't know. Do you not install a water heater yourself?
Not myself, but I've got a neighbor that used to install the hot water heaters. I was thinking about asking him to go ahead and do it. It cost a ton, dude, to have them delivered and installed. It costs like $1,000 to have them installed, because you know what? They got to be certified.
Yeah. But I look at that a little bit differently than I used to. I still think that it's a ripoff. Don't get me wrong, but the whole gig is a ripoff. To be certified and just to install a water heater, that guy probably had to pay the government thousands of dollars just to get that certification, and that's why he has to turn around and charge you so much money in order to do it. If the government didn't make him pay so much taxes and revenue to them for that measly piece of paper that says that he knows how to do it, then he wouldn't have to turn around and charge you a fortune to do it. You could just say, "Hey, I'll come put it in for $50." But no, the government wants like $500 to $1,000 every 3 to 6 months from him.
Yeah. No, don't get me started on the government. Did you want to chime in there, God's Armor?
No, not really. But if it's gas, like Eddie said, you definitely aren't allowed to hook them up yourself if it's gas. But if they're electric, like I got, we hook ours up ourselves all the time. But yeah, gas is a whole different ballgame.
It is, but I mean, I had somebody do that a few years ago. Anyway, moving on. Shh, don't tell anybody. No. So what are some of the things we wanted the topics we wanted to go over tonight, Sagittariusly speaking?
Well, I think we had discussed we were going to talk about some of the old Mandela effects. Since we're kind of a new channel, I mean, we all kind of have had our own personal experience talking about Mandela effects, or listening to other YouTubers talk about it, or Dan's channel or whatever. But we've never really had a conversation amongst ourselves about. I mean, we've talked about a few here and there, but I thought it'd be interesting just to get each other's takes on some of the ones that have been known for a while, and just kind of, put them in the books, so to speak.
Well, do you want to go down the list A through Z, or what?
What do you
No,
got?
I thought we would just kind of pick a few out here and there, randomly talk about them. Not just read a list. That would get boring for the listener pretty quick, I think.
Yeah, what do you got? Like the top 350?
Yeah, I got a list of the top 350 here.
Well,
I want to bring it up now.
Yeah, I'd say
on my
go
phone.
through like 10 of them, and then we can talk about them maybe, and then go through the next 10. And because I'm sure
Yeah,
there'll
I'll
be a
go.
whole bunch I never heard of because I don't research it. So there's
I
probably
mean, you got the. I think I'll just skip over the well-known ones for the most part, like the Forrest Gump, Life is like a box of chocolates. I mean, I think that's been running the ground. The interview with a vampire versus with the vampire. I mean, I think some of these have just been talked about so much. I mean, it's hardly worth, another breath of our effort here.
Speaking of breath of efforts, you got me thinking about Tom Hanks. And there's a whole rabbit hole floating around Tom Hanks right now at the moment. If we talked about it in Hangouts, but we didn't really discuss it on any of our videos yet. I was wondering if God's Armor would like to talk about it a little bit, if he knows what I'm talking about.
talk about what? Talk about who? Tom Hanks.
Yeah, we're talking about.
Oh, do you want to get into that before we do the Mandela stuff?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, you're all over the board here, man. I mean, I'm trying to keep up.
Yeah. I'm like, wait a minute. You had me lost for a second. I thought we was going to the list, and then you. Okay. I was talking to Eddie in the chat. Well, basically, I guess what we're going to talk about is I don't know how many of you ever heard of Cappy, but I heard about him when he first came out, and he basically, on my other channel, as you know, I put up stuff about SRA, MK Ultra, all that kind of everything that affects the children negatively. I basically do on my other channel called Prayers for the Children series. And I got tons of stuff from when I researched. So right now I'm doing a lot of older videos, but Cappy's a newer guy that came out a little over a year ago, probably about a year ago, maybe a little over. Hey, we got Metamorphosis Fatalities. But he basically is one from Hollywood to come out. He was in movies like, what was he in? He was in a couple bigger movies. Bit parts. I don't remember what. Well, he was in Beer Fest, which is an old comedy, but he was in a bigger movie. I forget which one. But he basically was outing everyone in Hollywood for their pedophilia, because we all know Hollywood's just rampant with pedophilia. Well, if you research at all about pedophilia, you're going to come across Hollywood. and the presidents and everything else. Go watch the videos on my channel if you want to know more. But beware, they're not for everybody. Believe me that. If you feel called to go watch them, go watch them. But they're not for everybody. They're for people that are called to fight for the children, like I feel I am. So best way to fight for them is to expose what's being done to them, because they keep taking it down. So we keep putting it up. But basically, Cappy outed everyone, including Tom Hanks. Now, Cappy supposedly just threw himself off a bridge or an overpass a few days ago, a couple days ago, probably 2-3 days ago, in Arizona on Route 66 on 4-4, as a matter of fact, is when, or no, not 4-4. That's when Tom Hanks did his thing. It was 5. I don't remember the exact date. It was a couple days ago, but a lot of numerology symbolism in it. If you get into that, you can go watch videos. A lot of good people's breaking it down. I would recommend Phoenix Enigma channel. He's one of the dudes I follow. He lives in Arizona. He literally drove by where Cappy supposedly did his nosedive and got hit by a truck 2 hours after it supposedly happened. Not because he knew it happened. He just happened to be going to Phoenix, and he always takes that route. He was on his way back, I believe he said, or he might have been on his way to Phoenix, and happened to drive by the exact spot where this all supposedly took place 2 hours after it supposedly took place. There was no cop cars. There was no blood stains. There was no ambulances. There was no sign of anything abnormal occurring at that location at all. 2 hours after supposedly someone jumped to their death, a famous person supposedly jumped to their death. Nothing. No signs that it ever happened. So that immediately is weird. Cappy did a video either hours or days before he supposedly jumped. I don't remember which, because I watched a lot of stuff about it after it happened. But not long before he jumped, he did a video, which anyone that's followed Cappy, you can sort of tell that it just, I don't know. A lot of us believe that he was coerced into saying what he said in the video. But either way, he did have free reign to say a little bit, because he said at one point, I am not, and he always said, I am not suicidal. If they ever is reported I commit suicide, you know it's a lie. I am not suicidal. I will not take my own life. And he said it again, like I said, either hours or days before he took his own life, supposedly. So he outed, like I said, big people, including Tom Hanks. And then Tom Hanks on 4-4, basically just a little before a month before Cappy supposedly killed himself on Route 66 by jumping off an overpass and getting hit by a truck, Tom Hanks posted a, what's it called, Instagram, showing a glove laying along the road. Tom Hanks is weird. He's very weird anyway. If you go look at his Instagram, the dude he ain't right. And he's definitely sending coded messages to somebody. But anyhow, he had this glove picture on Instagram, and it said, he wrote, how did it go? Historic Route 66. Roadkill? I hope not. And then when you zoom in on the picture on his Instagram, in the corner, there's a bottle cap with a letter P on it. So, cap P. So he has this Instagram post with a glove on it that says, Historic Route 66 Roadkill, I hope not, with a Cappy bottle cap in the corner. So that alone was weird for people that are investigating. He's basically putting out a hit on Cappy to be taken out on Route 66 as a roadkill. It's basically what it says a month before that exact thing happens. He also has a picture on there. His son, I guess, has some sort of handkerchief shop. The name Hanks, he calls his handkerchief business Hanks. And he posted a picture of a red handkerchief. I forget what the caption under it was, but of course, the symbology to a red handkerchief, anyone who studies this stuff knows that almost always when there's a supposed hit on a whistleblower, there's a red handkerchief left behind. Just they talk to each other that way, and symbols and things. Also, if not a red handkerchief, they always use like, well, for instance, the two singers that killed themselves recently, well, within the last year or so, that were both also outing the pedophiles and about ready to really out them.
Are you referring to Lincoln Park?
Yeah, the Lincoln Park guy and the Black Hole Sun guy. Yeah, I can never remember their names, although I've seen both those bands and used to really be into them. But yeah, the Lord gives and the Lord takes away. I don't remember their names, but Bannincourt, Bannincourt or something. I don't know. But yeah, those two singers, both, if you remember right, hung themselves. Well, didn't hang themselves. They asphyxiated themselves tied to a doorknob with the red exercise band. So basically what I'm saying, red's always a symbol that was a completed hit, that they want their money, basically. Here's your signature. But yeah, so Tom Hanks, in my opinion, now it's my opinion, is definitely somehow intertwined into everything that happened to Cappy. Just, if not, that is like one of the biggest coincidences on the planet. The odds of him posting a month before Route 66 roadkill, and there just happens to be a bottle cap in the corner with a P on it. I mean, that alone piques everyone's interest. Also,
Well, yeah. Also, I wanted to say that for him to actually go travel on Route 66 by himself, and knowing that I'm sure he keeps up on Tom Hanks. I mean, with him putting these charges against him, it seems like he would be aware of that Instagram post anyway. And then you have all these nuts out there that like follow it, the whole story religiously anyway. If this Instagram post came out ahead of time, I mean, it would be safe to say that there could be an obsessed fan or somebody along those lines who want to carry it out for him, who make it their own personal agenda, is following it, Cappy around just to wait for an opportunity. I mean, there's so many different possibilities.
That is definitely weird. Tom
well,
Hanks is definitely shifty. That's for sure. I'll say that much. Uh, Not just in this. Oh, go ahead. I'm. Go ahead.
oh shoot, now I lost it. I was gonna say something. Go ahead, I forget.
No, I'll say Tom Hanks is definitely shifty, and he shows all those symbolisms. The and Illuminati, and all those different symbols and the hand gestures and stuff like that, and who knows? I mean, and plus you got all this Mandela effect stuff that he's involved with. Um, I just don't. There's no telling if he's in the satanic rituals and whatnot. Who knows? And that's not just Tom Hanks, but that's a lot of Hollywood right there.
Well,
Yeah,
also
I mean,
once,
apparently he was going to expose a lot more than just Tom Hanks. I mean, the guys that produced the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, they were being implicated by him. There's been a couple other names I think that they were bombs. I mean, Steven Spielberg. I mean, he's even talked a lot about Steven Spielberg. We're talking A-list, high level people. I mean, these are people that could easily, could easily put something like that together without very much effort. It's not like they don't have the power, influence, and financial means to do so.
yeah, he dropped the names on a pile of them over the last year. I mean, big names like you said, Spielberg, Hanks, big names, and just, I mean, a lot. Like you said, he was out in a lot of them. And also, an actress just came forward. I can't remember her name. did so much research, it all gets jumbled anymore. But she just came out about Tom Hanks molesting her since she was 14, like days before the Cappy incident also. And Cappy supposedly had a kill switch video that I believe it was also on Phoenix Enigma's channel. I've downloaded a lot of stuff from a lot of channels the last couple of days. But all it is these little girls, they got to be, man, I think Phoenix Enigma says they may be 12, 14. I'm leaning more to 6 or 8 myself, having grandchildren about that age. They got to be like 6 or 8. There's no way they're preteen or tweens or whatever you call it. They're 6 or 8 max. Walking around in a basic Grecian style costume, bikini thing in a bathhouse. That's basically was his kill switch video, supposedly. And it's only like 15 seconds or something like that. But Phoenix Enigma also, they already figured out where the bathhouse is. But either way, there's still a lot that's going to yet to be discovered. Also, the last video Cappy took, his body language said a lot. He kept glancing to the right as he was talking. And normally, I mean, Cappy was always a little, what's the best way to describe it? Crazy, basically. He was always sort of different. A lot of people didn't buy into what he was saying just because he was so different. But
yeah, he's kind of extravagant, I guess would be a good word for it.
Yeah, well, he was Hollywood. There's no doubt about that. He definitely had the traits of Hollywood, sort of egotistical, sort of. But also, anyone that goes through the SRA, like if you studied it like I have and see the victims that come forward, they're all messed up. How are you not going to be messed up when you, when you know what happens to them? You're going to be messed up. You're going to be messed up for a long time. Even when you do start to come out of it, you're still messed up. Your mind's been fragmented into so many pieces. It's
and he admittedly, I mean, he admittedly was in a lot of the stuff that went on in Hollywood, the stuff that's not necessarily, pedophilia. I mean, as far as like, the wild parties and some of the crazy drugs and the goings-ons, he was part of the whole culture, and that's kind of how he got exposed to, got into these circles where he became aware of the other things that were happening, but he wasn't really down with that. And that's kind of what inspired him to come forward in the first place.
Yeah. And actually that's sort of a misconception about Cappy that goes around a lot, is about his drug use. Basically from his neighbor who was literally went in his apartment the day of or the day after his suicide, quote unquote, and filmed exactly where he filmed just to prove it was really, she was really there, and showed his stuff, and to prove she was in his apartment and was who she said she was, showing his bank statements, tracking where he had been and the last few days and all that. She said that as far as the drug use, because see, a rumor is that because he said a lot of weird things in that final video that have people, saying, well, look, he basically called himself Judas. He referred to Jesus, getting back to Jesus. He called himself a Judas. He said he had done something despicable that he could never undo. He was sorry for hurting everybody and ripping them off, and bad gambling habit and drug habit. And all. He said all this crazy stuff. And the neighbor's like, there's no way. And Crappy was agoraphobic, first of all. He didn't go anywhere unless he had to. He did weed, smoked weed, and she said he would drink maybe a little. She said the small bottles you get at the state store behind the counter. So basically she's talking about a pint bottle. Once in a while he'd have a pint bottle of alcohol that he might drink in a day or a week, or I don't know how long, and would smoke weed. He was a health nut. He would eat right. Cappy was a health nut type of Hollywood person more than a druggy type of Hollywood person. You know what I mean?
I didn't mean to imply that he was a druggie. I just meant that he was in a lot of the inner circles and did a lot of the stuff that he he was invited to the cool parties. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, well, like I said, I'm just saying that because that is one of the rumors that is what happened. Supposedly he ripped off a drug dealer. This is what mainstream's trying to put out there. He ripped off a drug dealer and was on the run with the money, and a drug dealer took him out. Is sort of the story they're trying to start to push, I've noticed. But that's totally insane. Crappy Cappy didn't do drugs. He wouldn't rip off a drug dealer. He wouldn't be on the it. None of it goes with his personality. Like I said, there was also dogs involved. Anyone that watched the video knows about the dogs that were always in his videos, where he lived. But the neighbor said about, you could tell, and like I said, you could tell from that last video. First of all, if you watched him, you knew that something wasn't right, and he was blinking, and he always said about blinking if in distress, and he was blinking. He was constantly looking to the right. So when the neighbor was in his house, the live chat people asked her, they said, hey, what's to the right? They said, first they got her to sit exactly where Cappy was. They helped position her to where he was in his final video. They said, now look to the right. What is over there? You know what I mean? Is it a doorway? What's to the right? So she looked to the right, and that's where his bed was. So I'm starting to think whoever was coercing him had someone or something over there on that bed, because he kept looking over that way. And also, he said he was alone in the video, but you can clearly hear a man's voice in the other room say, stop. And the dogs aren't acting right. The dogs, like I said, watch the neighbor video. She'll explain the dogs a lot better. She used to dog sit them. So she knew by the sound of what the dogs were doing in the video that that dog only made that noise when he was being bothered. When someone was there, he didn't. When someone was messing with him. And Cappy was supposedly alone. So there should have been no one there messing with the dog. None of it adds up in his final video. But
I
the
tell
whole
you what, I mean, the more you talk, the more intriguing the story gets. It sounds like it's like the ultimate conspiracy theory thing to work out now. I mean, because there's a lot of things. I mean, that like the thing that you said, he said he did a terrible thing. I remember hearing something about that, but he never told anybody what this terrible thing is. And the way that he does it, he makes it sound so morally corrupt of a thing that he's done. However, he does correct himself and say, no, it wasn't anything like what I'm accusing other people of doing. But it would robbing a drug dealer would not be into that category. I mean, people could find moral justification for robbing a drug dealer.
yeah,
So
exactly.
it's going to be interesting to see how. I mean, we have all these people now that are so much better, especially when the ink is still wet on these documents, as far as trying to figure out what really happened. I hope we do get to the
Well,
truth.
they've already written it off as a suicide. There is no investigation. It's over. They haven't even been to his apartment that his neighbor was in. I mean, they're you got to remember, they're as paid off as everybody. It's a big ring. It's a big ring. People don't understand. So yeah, the case is already done. There is no investigation. There is no nothing as far as the public or police are concerned. It's a suicide. It's
I mean,
over.
as far as like these YouTubers and private investigators that won't rest until they get to the bottom of things. They're not just going to give up on it, I don't think.
Yeah, hopefully not. And I definitely don't think Phoenix Enigma will, because like I said, he's right there. He drives through there all the time. He lives near there. And he's an investigator like that. So hopefully he'll keep us up to date on what's happening. But there's no doubt it's all kind of weird. Supposedly there was two teenagers that tried to keep him from jumping. I did watch one video. I forget the YouTuber's name. He actually went to the bridge. It's a totally encaged bridge. So how you could even, I mean, me and my wife were sitting there like, well, how did he jump from there? What? It's enclosed in a cage, like most overpasses are for walking people. You know what I mean? None of it makes any sense. And yeah, the whole thing's just crazy. Two teenagers supposedly tried to stop him, yet someone on the scene supposedly there's some type of Indian, there's some type of something right across the street, some big building of some kind. I forget what it is. Like I said, it's also jumbled anymore. I studied, watched so much stuff about it. But one of the workers in there said that Cappy basically met up with a couple homeless type people who were there and was talking to them, and they're the ones that tried to stop him. Well, if that's the case, they weren't teenagers. So why were the police saying it's teenagers? We basically figure because teenagers, you aren't allowed to give their identity. So they're never going to have to disclose names of who was there because they're teenagers. See what I'm saying? So right from the get, they had their plan in place to cover everything up because, oh, well, it was two teenagers. We're not allowed to tell you who they were. They don't want their name given. So, but yeah, it's an interesting thing. If you're never heard about it, check out Cappy. You know what I mean? I personally think he was trying to do the right thing. A lot of people don't. But, you know, I've seen and studied enough of the SRA victims to sort of believe what he was saying, you know. And I actually asked on Dan's show back when Rachel was still on, like a year or more ago. Me and Rachel was on a show, and I asked her, I said, hey, do you know Cappy? Because he was just starting to come out. I said, man, I'd love to, you know, get in touch with him and talk with him. Do you know him? And she was like, well, no, I never heard of him, which I thought was strange. How does anyone in Hollywood not hear about a dude that's outing everyone in Hollywood? You know, I thought, well, that's mighty weird. You never heard of Cappy? You're on YouTube and you're in Hollywood, and he's like calling out Spielberg. You don't know who Cappy is, but strange. It was even strange back then. Cappy was, the whole thing was strange, but either way, I hope he rests in peace if he's really dead. And if not, I hope he did fake his own death and get away, because who knows? Who knows? Supposedly the body
Yeah, I
was
mean,
unrecognizable. It got hit by a big truck. There's no identifying the body. So,
has he pretty much disclosed everything though that he wanted to disclose? I mean, it's not like he was about to drop a new information bomb that hadn't been told yet. He'd pretty much put it all, everything out there that he wanted to put out there already, didn't he? I mean, it's not like they were they were stopping him from putting out anything new, is what I'm trying to get at.
well, it seemed like he had slowed down. It seemed like he had named all the names he was going to name, at least from watching his videos. They definitely slowed down. So, yeah, it isn't like he was saying, all right, next week I'm announcing I'm dropping the bomb. Or no, it was, oh, yeah, Terminator Salvation, Eddie Von Keen said. Yes, that's one of the movies Cappy was in. There was another big one, too.
He was in Thor.
Thor, that's the one I was trying, that's the big one I was trying to think of. Yes. He was in Thor, Terminator Salvation, Beer Fest. He was in a couple movies. He was an interesting fellow. And I believe what he was saying was true just because I know Hollywood's full of the pedophiles. I've got lots of videos to put up about people talking about it. So I definitely believe what he had to say, and I hope he rests in peace if he is dead. And if he isn't, I hope he has a long and healthy life for doing what he did. He put the names out. And, you know, another thing people don't think about, that's slander. If what these people were saying wasn't true, like he called out big name people with big name lawyers.
Oh yeah,
Girl,
he told Steven Spielberg, "Sue me." He said
yeah,
it out. He said, "Sue me, Steven Spielberg, for saying what I said." And he's like, "You're not going to sue me, and I know why. Because if you sue me, then we have to go to court, and then there has to be disclosure as to what the facts really are. And he doesn't want that, so he's not going to sue me."
exactly. And that right there is exactly what I was going to say. The girl that called out Tom Hanks the same way. Like I said, I've got videos where they've called out presidents, they've called out vice presidents, congressmen, they've called out uh, actors and musicians, you name it. These people come right out and call them out. If it wasn't true, they would be sued in a heartbeat for slander. So that right there proves everything they're saying is true. Or the rich guys are going to sue them. You know, they live to sue people for slander. You know what I mean? Them lawyers would be eating it up, but no, they can't touch it because they can't beat the truth. So God bless him wherever he is. That's for sure. Because I'm behind anyone that tries to out the pedophiles. Because I've been trying to do it for a while, in my own little way, on my own little channel, sharing what they put out. And believe me, it's only going to get way more graphic and way more detailed because I haven't even put up some of the stuff. It's
Well, you would think that there would be um, people out there besides himself that are for that cause, for exposing those people that also have some type of financial means and power and influence of their own. Just being good people, but also have some type of financial backing. And you would think those people, when they have somebody like him, a whistleblower who actually does have real information and is willing to come forward, that they would take care of somebody like that, give him a place, put him up somewhere in an apartment where nobody knows where he's at, so that he can feel safe and not have to worry about a hit being taken out on him. It's just kind of a shame to me that that doesn't naturally occur in the way that it should, because I'm sure there's so many people who aren't morally corrupt, but would have the means and ability to do something like that.
well, definitely. And he was staying in an undisclosed place that someone was nice enough to give him to live in. He didn't pay rent. There was someone that was helping him in that way. It wasn't a rich Hollywood person. It was just a lady who heard about him online and took him in to help him out. But still, somehow, you know what I mean? They got him eventually. I mean, is there a safe place for them to hide? It don't look like it. And I think that's the message they're sending. It don't matter. You can run for a year. You can stay hid for a year, but they're still going to find you. You still got mail. You still got bank cards. They'll track you eventually, unfortunately. And there's been lots of Hollywood people that spoke up. Elijah Wood said about it being full of pedophiles.
Corey Feldman.
Yeah, Corey Feldman, of course. That poor boy's all whacked. They've messed poor Corey up so bad. I don't think he knows what he's doing, but he's tried to expose him.
He tried to come out and expose it, but they shut him up. Whoever they are, the Illuminati or whatever, they didn't kill him, but I mean they basically shut him down. I guess they paid him off or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows what Corey. And there's been a lot more since before that. I mean, I got the book Beyond a Pale Horse, or Behold a Pale, whichever. No, Beyond a Pale Horse. It's what was her name? But it's been written by an SRA survivor many years ago. Yeah, there's lots of people.
It's Bill something.
No, that's the other one. See, that's Behold a Pale Horse.
Oh yeah.
This is from a woman. This is Beyond the Pale Horse. This is from an SRA survivor woman.
I can see how you could easily get that confused because but I mean, the other one was a whistleblower, so to speak, as well.
Oh yeah, Bill Cooper. I got that book also.
Who died a mysterious way as well.
Yeah, of course. All the whistleblowers eventually die of quite mysterious deaths, suicide. Almost always suicide, but we know better.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you guys. I forgot to mention in the Hangouts, and I also forgot to mention in the description that this is going to be a call-in show, but I won't make it a call-in show if you guys don't want. If you guys want to just have this discussion, but I want to see what's to weigh in, if anybody.
Yeah, especially if they want to weigh in on this topic, because the more the merrier.
But I will say this to anybody that calls in: if you guys are going to be belligerent, you're going to get this noise. So
yeah, and also make note to be respectful to Andy Cappy and his his family. I mean, don't come on here saying a whole bunch of crazy stuff that would be considered disrespectful.
Yeah, because like I said, whether you believe him or not, he had the balls to say what he was going to say, and kudos for that, at least, if nothing else. Personally, I believe him because I've seen enough evidence to point to all the same characters from many different people, so there's no doubt in my mind. But yeah, I pretty much said everything I think I've researched on Cappy. It's like I said, there's so much. It's so twisted up, but there is definitely weird things going on. The last video is just crazy. The hour phone call was crazy. The, none of it makes sense. None of it at all.
So yeah, that's all craziness. I didn't even hear half of that stuff, and I didn't realize that Cappy was going. So basically, he had already gotten everything out. I don't understand why they would have killed him unless he had more. He had more that he was going to get out, and they knew about that, and they did it to stop him. Obviously, it wasn't suicide. I mean, that's non-debatable between us and the community and everybody that's smart enough to figure it out. It certainly doesn't seem like it was suicide anyway.
And there is a friend of him that's an actor that's put out 2 videos since his death that's really going after him. He's like, we ain't gonna rest. You know, we know. So there is an actor dude out there. He's not a big famous actor, but I did see 2 of his videos he uploaded, and he's basically calling it straight up crap. You know, he's like, no, we ain't buying none of this. We know you killed him. We're going to, you know, he ain't happy. He was a friend of Cappy's, like talked on the phone type of friend. So yeah, hopefully there's people out there that's going to keep digging, and hopefully they don't get killed for their efforts. You know what I mean? We need to pray for these people. That's why I pray for these people, because
I don't know how if you're familiar with Harry Potter, but they all, when they get assigned to the school, they each get a wand, and their wand is the wand chooses them, so to speak. And I might be wrong. I'm just going off memory here. If I remember right, the one that Harry Potter gets is made out of the wood holly, like the actual the wood from the tree or the shrub or whatever that's called holly. And I just thought that was kind of,
well,
you know,
it's well known that Hollywood is the best wood for that type of object, be it a wand or whatever you want to call it. Jason could probably weigh in on that. He has a Wicca background, so he would probably.
Well, then I wanted to also say that if you Wikipedia holly, the red berries on the holly tree represent the blood that Jesus shed on the cross and the day he was crucified, and the holly's pointed leaves symbolize the crown of thorns placed on Jesus's head before he died on the cross, and it's also known in German and in other like religious sectors as Christ's thorn. That name of that plant is. And then of course they name Hollywood the most deceptive, thing. I can't think of anything besides NASA that I would consider to be more um, um, obviously deceptive and mesmerizing to the public as far as playing a show game with reality as Hollywood itself does, because and then they put it on a silver screen. I mean, like it goes. The silver screen in itself represents a lot of deception. I mean, or pretty much taking something evil and menacing and making it look beautiful and astonishing. You know what I'm saying? There's just so much symbolism behind that. I mean, and then the name in itself, calling it Hollywood. I mean, who thought of that years ago in advance to name it that, with all that, knowing that all that is actually true? I mean, that's just so bizarre when you actually start looking this stuff up and seeing how obvious in your face it really is.
Well, it shows you how far back it's been going on. I mean, the enemy's had his plans for a long time. You know what I mean? Like you said, that was all obviously planned. There's no doubt about it. And to plan that for that long, to see it happen, that's what I mean. We underestimate the enemy a lot. we sit back and think we're saved and Jesus is coming and everything's going to be all right. Well, the enemy loves that. Playing right into his game.
Oh, I've by the way, guys, I have opened the conference call and we are sitting here. We're going to wait. I'll let I sent the phone number there in the Hangouts.
I just put it out in the chat.
Okay.
The other thing I was going to mention, guys, if while we wait for that call to come in, holly was thought to be the male plant, and ivy is the female plant to the holly. And you know how you always you always think of like poison ivy, or ivy is kind of like, it's almost like an Adam and Eve of plants. Isn't that kind of weird when you look at it that way?
Sure.
Yeah, I never thought of that. That's quite interesting.
That is, because you think about poison ivy from Batman, poison ivy being a female. So yeah, that is interesting.
Not to mention its whole association with Christmas. I mean, boughs of holly. I mean, I'm sure it got there somehow, some way that it's all part of the same mystique.
Yeah, and that's why I think they tied the holy plant so much to Jesus, is for the Christmas reference, basically.
Well, I tell you, so the phone lines are open, and we can go ahead. Oh, by the way, I got to give you this for that. What you said. Oh, shoot. There you go. Sagittariusly speaking. Well done.
Oh no, he found sound effects.
Oh, that's awesome. we need like a gong from the Gong Show.
Well, I was going to play that earlier, but it was too serious of a topic. So I thought, no, I better wait. I better hold off. But if you do ever run into Tom Hanks, do this immediately. Just saying. Just saying.
Yeah, I'd probably be doing something a little different, but I'd probably regret it in the morning.
Right. So, okay. What's the first Mandela effect we got here today? Oh, you know what? Let's hold on off on that. I've got a caller. Let's see who this is. Let me unmute them.
But it's Jason or Eddie.
Is that who? Oh, I guess that's who we got on the line. We've got Jason on the line. Go ahead and turn that up. Can you hear us, Jason?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
All right. Can you guys hear him?
Yeah, he's a little bit low, but we can hear him.
Yeah, I hear him.
All right, cool. What's up, brother? Do you want to weigh in on the whole Tom Hanks thing?
Or Hollywood?
Frankly, I want to weigh up everything, but I can't because.
Hold on.
Wait, we can't hear him now at all.
Okay, I got him. Okay, go ahead.
I'm not going to try to offend Armored Up, but as far as pedophiles.
I don't hear nothing.
Hold on, brother. You know what? I'll just pop him in the room. He's been asking to come in. How about that?
Yeah, whatever works. Let's bring him in.
All right. I'm just gonna pop you in the room, brother, because this thing ain't working right for some reason. I keep getting phone calls. So let me go ahead and mute myself up, and I'm gonna take a phone call real quick, and you guys let him. Do you have him in Hangouts, God's Armor?
Huh?
Do you have him in Hangouts, Jason?
Should. Let me see. All right, I got to find our link first.
Wait a minute.
Whoops, no, I don't want to do that. What am I doing? All right, let me see. My contact list has been goofy. I can't even find like Jess on it or you or I don't know what's going on with Hangouts. It's lost its mind.
All right.
No, Jason ain't there anymore either.
Let me.
Jess ain't there. You're not there. Half my people ain't there. I don't know what's going on with Hangouts.
I've got it. There we go. The reason why I was asking you is because if I do it, it might get goofy on us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I won't be able to hear him. Then I'll have to jump back out, jump back in. Y'all know how that goes. Okay, I sent him the invite. So when he gets in here, I'll just mute myself up. How about that? I'll let him weigh in on the whole Tom Hanks Cappy conversation. I just now sent him that invite. So sorry the call didn't work out. I had to shut down the call center, by the way, but I will put it back up there again. I got to take a phone call, guys. Go ahead and keep the broadcast going. I'm going to take this phone call real quick.
All right, it's his handlers telling him that's enough of the Cappy talk. So we'll be dropping that subject for the evening, thanks to Hebrew's handlers. It's a joke, people. Try to calm down. Hey,
That was
all
funny.
right, Jason. What's up, Jason? If you're talking, I can't hear you. Happy late birthday, buddy.
I just jumped in.
Hey, there
I
you
just
go.
jumped in.
Hey,
Yeah,
Jason.
let's see how this goes.
Happy late birthday, buddy.
Let's see how this goes. I mean, this may work. It may not. I don't know. I have no idea.
So
You
far,
know, I had to go and buy a new phone. No, as far as the little pedophiles go, as far as I'm concerned, as fast as we could find them, we just turn them over to the FBI and let the FBI have their way with them.
yeah, the
What
problem
I want to
is,
do with the pedophiles.
you got to find the right
Well,
FBI.
Oh no, we got a good FBI office here in St. Louis. We got a real good one.
Yeah, I got to admit, when I turned in the one here to the FBI, they actually did something. In fact, they did a lot. They wiped out a whole bunch of Catholic priests all around my area, thanks to some info I give them. So they actually did their job, I must say. I was proud of them. Hey, Jocko Ower's in the house.
Yeah, I do. Oh, I gotta go over here. I gotta turn something off. I'm sorry, guys. I've got to turn something off. Otherwise, I will get kicked off of here.
All right.
I gotta turn something off. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I want to see the chat, but it's not gonna happen.
I got it up. I'll let you know if anyone talks. We only got 2 chatters now that you're in here. We got Jocko and Eddie.
Jocko and Eddie. All right, I'm gonna try to behave myself, guys. I've been trying to go on a live stream for days, so I'm excited. I'm on one. It's good to go. Good to go. Good to go. Now,
Yeah,
these child molesters, they have a bad habit of popping up in the same places I go looking for movie information. So I wind up giving a lot of information to the FBI. I've reported 21.
Awesome. Definitely
Yeah,
something
I've
we
got
can-
21 under my belt. I'm going for more. The problem is now, do I just do it passively like I've been doing, or do I go active and become as bad as they are?
I had that same struggle when the father took me down this deep, dark, nasty rabbit hole because I'm ex-military, plus I'm a biker. So my normal reaction time to lock and load, find the nearest ones, and just commence. But luckily, father calmed me down and showed me that that ain't the way we do it. And unfortunately, I got to listen to what he says, or fortunately, or however you want to look at it. I try to keep that urge under control because I know that ain't the way I'm supposed to react. But yeah, I know what you're saying. Believe me, I have weapons and I have knowledge and training, and I could definitely
Oh,
have.
I'm not going that far, Armored. Come on. I'm just talking about going active, actively looking for them and hunting them down online. I mean, I could do that.
Well,
I'm not talking about hunting them down and shooting them.
oh, I was, but I'm not gonna. I ain't loud. I won't do that. That ain't the way we fight. I learned how I gotta fight it, whether I like it or not. Our fight is not with the flesh. Keep telling me. That's why I got the armor, to keep reminding myself. We don't battle the people. We don't battle the people. Don't kill the people. Kill the spirit behind them. That's what we're after. That's what I target. But yeah, the only bad thing about trying that, I've thought of that too, is by going to them places, you could implicate yourself as a pedophile. You know what I mean? So that's
Yeah,
the
you
scary
can.
part. Trying to track them down, you may end up getting busted for that.
Yeah, you can. You really can. And
Especially-
I've been through that before. Me being active online and a pirate. I'll just go ahead and admit it. I'm a pirate. I look for certain songs, and in the process of finding these certain songs or these certain videos, just for me and my wife's enjoyment, I will find all kinds of pornography and child pornography, and finding these songs, and then reporting these and the videos that I find that have nothing to do with the song I'm looking for, but have that song name. So, for example, I could look up Party Like It's 1999. I'll find 17 Prince videos. Of those 17 videos, one's going to be the one I'm looking for. 2 are going to be child pornography. Now, the 2 that are child pornography, I report to the FBI. Now, the only people that I distribute this to is the FBI, and I distribute along with it the information as to where this is coming from. I give them all the information. I give them the IP addresses, I give them usernames, all of that. Yeah, it's left me open.
Oh.
It's left me open for being charged with it. And that's a big problem. I mean, you could either turn your head and look away, or you can go ahead and take a chance of getting charged with it while you fight against it. Because I want these sons of guns caught.
Yep.
I want them shut down.
Yeah. I'll tell you, what,
I'll go ahead. I'll go ahead and I'll take the chance of getting arrested for child pornography for reporting it to the FBI and the Attorney General's office. I'll go ahead and take that chance.
Not
Because
to
to
mention
sit
that
there
you're the fact that you're doing piracy in the first place, they could come after you for just doing that if they really wanted to. But I think the greater good is in the fact that you're turning them in, and I'm sure they recognize that, and I'm sure that everything is documented as far as how you came across it and how long you had it, and the fact that you reported it. So that kind of covers your own ass.
well, yeah. Not to mention that, I mean, you're allowed 30 days. No matter what, you're allowed 30 days for what you pirate. You're allowed that. 30 days with no distribution. If you use it, you like it, you go, I go and buy it if I like the software. If I've got over 10,000 CDs.
You don't.
I wouldn't have had that kind of collection if I wouldn't have went and experimented. But the stuff you find while you're...
Sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry. I was just going to weigh in on that's the stuff you find when you're just looking at stuff, and then that stuff pops up. The child pornography pops up, and you're like, "What the hell is this?" And then you go click it on. You're like, "Oh my god!" And you're just like, "Do I report this, or how do I report it?" Like, how do you report stuff like that? Is my question.
Well, the FBI's website's got a very clear very clear page. Just open up a new tab. And I've got to tell you, and I hate to say this, and I'm going to be very clear, that Microsoft has to fix this, and they have to fix it very fast. The best way to find child pornography is to go on to Bing and just type that in, and it will give you every source of nastiness you could possibly imagine.
You're kidding. It's that easy to look that stuff up and just type it. I wouldn't think that would be so simple that anybody could just type in stuff and then it just show up like that. That's that's terrible.
The last video I put on the Prayer for the Children, the other channel, it's all about a group of pedophiles who were trading videos and pictures online. It talks a good bit about it. Jason watched it. I seen he left a comment, but yeah, they're over in England, but talks about the dark web and how this stuff gets spread.
Oh, you don't even have to be on the dark web.
Oh, no, absolutely not. But if you go there, you'll find lots. Yeah, you don't got to be on the dark web. No.
No, it's got down to the point now where whether it's dark web, bright web, as I'm going to call it now, which is what everybody is. I'm calling it bright web. Yeah, it's so readily available. It's not funny.
No, it's a serious problem, and that's why I've been trying to expose it for years, and will till the day I die. And the good thing is we're starting to see some results. The stuff's starting to come to the light. The one state just today or yesterday just totally banned abortion. I mean, I've been thanking the Father for that all day. That's awesome. Totally banned.
Amazing. I'm glad for that.
Yeah, Alabama.
Yeah, Alabama
totally completely banned abortion after 6 weeks.
Yep.
Abortion is now illegal.
And that goes to show why I keep saying prayers for the children. This stuff works. We've got to trust the Father. We got to pray. It works. It might take a while. For years, I've been praying for this stuff to happen, and boom, for the first time in history, a state's banned abortion. Darkness is coming to the light. Pedophiles are getting exposed left and right. I mean, keep
Hey,
doing.
you put that video up, and I went, wait a minute, he's going dark.
Well, that's what they say. What's done in the dark will be brought to the light, right? So
It is. It definitely is. That's my point. We see it unfolding right in front of us. We just got the eyes to see. It's right there.
You remember that song, don't you guys? God's Gonna Cut You Down by Johnny Cash.
Yeah, I gotta say that's a Johnny Cash classic.
Yep, I've got that song. You put that video up, and I kid you not, 1 hour later, I found a video on the internet of a 3-year-old being molested, and I got that guy arrested. Not even an hour later.
Good deal. Hope they all get arrested. Actually, I hope they all come to the light and bring the children out on their own. That's what I'm waiting for. It's going to
I
happen.
mean, how do these people even think they're going to get away with this stuff? If you're putting this kind of stuff online and your information is easily available, I mean, do you think do these people actually believe that no one's going to turn them in? I mean, it's almost like they're just dying to get caught.
They're not thinking.
Well, the thing is, they don't know they're doing anything wrong.
Right. They have a sickness, and I'm not trying to excuse any of them, by the way, by saying it's a sickness, but it's in their head. It's not wrong. It's perfectly normal to them. And that's a part of the huge problem. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen the show To Catch a Predator. A lot of those guys who walk into that bait house knowing full well that it's all set up, and they'll even say after they catch them, say, I knew this was a setup the whole time. Well, they can't help themselves. It's exactly.
No, they can't.
And you got to remember,
they can't help themselves.
They haven't been getting busted for it for decades. So why would they think they're going to get busted? This stuff's just now starting to come to light more than it ever has in the last 10 years.
Well, yeah, now they're also trying to make it like socially acceptable. Put this pedophilia in as a way that you're born, like the whole transgender and the LGBTQ or whatever type stuff. They're trying to create their own little niche for being to try to make it more socially acceptable to be considered to be that way. And as far as I'm concerned, that's just as.
What town are you in? Because I'll tell you right now, the LGBT community where I'm at will not accept that in any way, shape, form, or fashion.
No, but they're trying to use the same tactics that they use to get more socially accepted. Is what I'm trying to say.
There's a society.
That's the point.
That'll never happen.
Exactly what they're doing. Oh, it's happening. It's happening all across America. They're slowly bringing it to the norm. There's virtual pedophiles now. They call themselves the virtuous pedophiles because they don't act on their urges.
Right. The pedophiles are saying they're saying, don't use the name pedophile. That's not acceptable. We don't like that name. It's like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You actually think you have rights? That's crazy. They're saying that like you said that.
You look at my daughter. I'm gonna that way. I'm gonna shoot you.
There was a guy, I don't know if you guys remember this, it's been a few years ago, but there was a guy that tracked down his, I think it was his daughter's pedophile, karate is a karate instructor, and he actually tracked him down, and they had caught him, and they were walking him through the, I guess, through the airport or something like that, and he was disguised as someone at the telephone booth, and he actually shot him live on TV, shot the guy. So, I mean, and then the guy ended up going to prison, and they asked him, they said, if you had it to do all over again, would you do it? And he said, you goddamn straight I would.
Yeah, I remember my first encounter. I was probably like 13 or 14 years old, and my family had traveled down to southern Kentucky to my step family to visit my stepmom's side of the family and all her distant relatives and whatnot. And they were all going. I think they were going to church because her dad was a preacher at the church down there, and it was a night service, and they were going to be handling snakes at this church because that's what they do down there. And so the kids weren't going. So I got left with this guy, like one of her uncles or cousins or whatever, and a couple other teenagers that I was just meeting for the first time. I had never been around any of these people, but I got left there, and no sooner than all the adults walked out of the house to go to church, this guy that's in charge of watching us, he puts on a wrestling video, like a WWE type thing, and you can kind of tell that he's kind of off. Like you just, I mean, it was just kind of obvious. He acted like a big kid, so to speak. And then no sooner than he turned on this wrestling video, he's trying to get all the kids to wrestle with him, and it's all starting to click in my head real fast as to what's going on here. And I handled the situation like a pro. I mean, nothing took place. I was able to diverge, anything from happening, but it was very obvious to me that that was his normal routine. And I mean, I don't know how much longer he got away with it or whatnot, but he wasn't able to pull anything off on that particular evening.
Yeah, Priest playing wrestle video. We're gonna wrestle. Yeah. I'm 8 years old. My fist goes towards scrotum as hard as it could possibly go. End story.
Sounds like you got out of a bad situation there, sagitarically speaking. I'm glad you got out of it, and unfortunately a lot of
Had I been a year or two younger and not able to like think on my feet, and I was like practically 13, so I was, but had I been 9 or 10, I don't think I would have known what to do. I think I would have been a victim.
That's why we got to
you got out of a bad situation quick.
That's why we got to pray for these children. Just got to, like God's armor says, pray for the children. Hopefully these people will be brought to the light, be brought to jail, and be brought to light, and God will take care of it. By the way, I don't mean to get us off track here, but the phone lines are reopened if anybody wishes to join, but I don't think we have too many people watching at this point, which is a shame because we are talking about some really deep subjects here, a little bit uncomfortable subjects, but I'm sorry.
So we got Eddie and Jocko.
Now, Mr. Jocko, he promised me last week that he was going to call in this week. So if he doesn't call in, I'm going to be awfully disappointed.
Jocko, 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 Jocko.
There, I just put it up for him.
Thank you, God's Armor. Yeah, let's get a Jocko chant going. See if he'll Jocko, Jocko, Jocko.
Jocko, Jocko, Jocko,
Jocko.
Jocko, 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 Jocko. No, you know we're just gonna annoy the living crap out of you until you call in, right?
Right.
Jocko,
Already
Jocko,
annoying me.
Jocko, Jocko. I've already got Debbie mad at me, so.
That's why I'll give him one of those. And if he does come in, we'll give him a round of applause. How about that?
I'll give him a round of applause just to get him to come in.
Well, is he responding in chat, like saying that he's going to or not?
Oh,
I don't know. I had to kill the chat.
Yeah, he said he
I
tried to
had to
call,
kill
but he's not sure how to do it. So I told him you just dial that number and then it'll ask for the pin. Put the pin in when it asks for it. So he's trying to call.
I'm sure he has some interesting things to talk about. We did a live stream a long time ago, and I had to shelf it. I'm not going to say who slipped, but somebody slipped and said something they shouldn't ought to said, so I had to shut it down, shelf it. So, but he said some interesting things. I wish I could have.
I'm sorry.
No, it wasn't you this time. This time. Oh, here
it wasn't me. It wasn't me.
We've got a call from Terminal, Texas. I believe that must be Mr. Jocko right now. So let's see if I can get this to work. Oh, no. He left.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Maybe I shouldn't have said the name of the town.
Yeah, you
So
usually
you
just
gotta be kidding me. He says he spent all this damn time trying to get on here, and all of a sudden you just pick up the phone, you say green button, that means answer. You hang the fuck up on him? No, there's something wrong with that.
Yeah, there's a lot wrong with that. No, well, Dan always says the name of my town.
Yeah, it's true. I guess he does. I'd just say the state if it was me.
Yeah.
Of course, if he got up in Texas, I guess you'd have to say the name of the town, or you'd never. I think what most people do is just say the first 6 numbers of the phone number, area code, and first 3.
Right.
Like we got a call from 717-226 or whatever.
I wasn't going to give his number out, but.
Well, no, you don't read the whole number. That's what I'm saying. You read the first 3. Oh, goodness.
Oh, here it is. Let's see. If we
Forget about
unmuted. Mr. Jocko, how are you doing today, brother?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
Pretty good. Can everybody hear him?
barely.
Okay.
Jocko!
Hey, I called in because I said I would, even though I don't really have much to say.
Well, just say whatever's on your mind.
No, I've just been listening, and it's pretty heavy subject you're talking about right now.
Yeah. It's definitely a little deep.
Hey, I have a question, maybe God Dahmer. You know, this satanic ritual's been going on for thousands of years. If some of this gets exposed with what's going on now, is it really ever going to stop, though?
Well, it's only going to stop when the final battle is over. So it isn't so much about stopping it, because like you said, it's been going on since way before, like Babylonian times. I mean, yeah, ancient, way old religions, way older than Christianity. This stuff's been going on long before it was ever called Satanism, because it was long before there was ever a Satan, as far as the world knew. You know what I'm saying? So the older gods, they all did the same stuff. It's been going on forever, but I don't think we're ever going to actually stop it. No, but every child we can save, every one that gets answered, that makes it all worthwhile to me. And in the end, it's going to stop in the end. There's no doubt about that. As soon as we're allowed to, as soon as let's go. Like I said, everyone thinks when Jesus comes back, there's going to be this big battle. There ain't no battle. As soon as it's turned loose, it's over. It'll stop then. But yeah, right now, I'm just trying to expose as much of it as you can. At least save what you can. Don't let the fact that it's a powerful evil that's been going on for thousands of years get in the way of the fact that you can still kick its butt.
There's a good versus evil that goes across Wicca, it goes across Judaism, it goes across Christianity, it goes across Islam, it goes across Hindu, it goes across Buddhism. It doesn't matter which religion, because it's going to have it. Good versus evil. It's not going to stop until all of the good wins.
I'll tell you a funny story, Mr. Jocko. We were in Denny's the other day, and this waitress come up, and I could have swore she had the satanic symbol, the star, on her arm. I turned to my wife after she took our order, and I'm like, I think she's a Satanist. She's like, that wasn't the satanic star, you knucklehead. She's like, that was the Jewish star. So
Same thing.
Well, there is a difference. There is a difference, and I want to bring this up while I can. There's the Star of David, which is 6 points on the star. That's the Star of David.
It's actually the Star of Rephaim, but continue.
Oh, I stand corrected. It was later converted to the Star of David. I guess. I don't know. Now, the Pentacle, which is the original star for Wicca, is a 5-pointed star. And 1 point is up. And there is another star which has 1 point down. The inverted star that has 1 point down, 2 points up is the star of the god Pan. The star that is 1 point up, 2 points down is the star of the goddess. Now, in the ancient Wicca, both stars are good symbols. In the new Wicca, I'm not too sure. Because there's a difference between the religions. But yeah, the pentacle is actually a sign of the triple goddess, who actually, according to one priest I talked to, and I think this is bullshit. You heard me say this. I'm telling the priest he's bullshit. The triple goddess relates to and is the same thing as Jesus. And I said, no. They're two different people.
Well, actually,
Two different. Yeah, it's
the triple goddess
two different people. It's two different orderly.
Is the female Trinity, basically. It is a mocking of the Trinity, the triple goddess, the pentagram.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there is the Holy Trinity in Christianity, and there's the Holy Trinity in the original Wicca religion.
Yep,
and there's the Holy Trinity, and the triple goddess in the new Wicca that's going on right now, which has been. I'm not going to go there. It's just too retarded.
Well, Mr. Jocko, do you have anything else on your mind, brother?
No, that's okay. Not right now. I was planning to watch some videos, and I had some Mandela effects that I was going to bring up, but I didn't get a chance to. I was trying to get all my, watch it and get all the details correct, and I didn't have time today, so I'll probably do that next time.
Oh, okay. Well, we were going to talk about Mandela effects, A through Z, and go over ones, some of the old ones and some of the newer ones, and see if anyone's has heard of them. But if you could think of any,
I'll be listening in, and who knows, I'll call back if I have some input.
All right. Well, thanks for
calling, Jocko. I hope I answered your question all right there.
Well, I guess I hope. I mean, here's what I'm trying to say. It seems like it's never going to stop. But I guess if we can knock down some of these big name people that are doing it, it might help.
Yeah. Well, it is going to stop. Just when it stops, it's going to stop instantly. Put it that way. But right now, we just fight against it.
It's going to be painful.
But there's no doubt.
It very well may be painful when it stops, but yes, it will stop.
Oh yeah, it's going to be quick. They ain't got a chance. They ain't got a single chance. I already know. Yeah, it's going to stop, and it's going to stop instantly. But I just don't know when. But soon, I know soon. Soon it's going to stop.
Okay, well, thank you. Anyway, I'll go ahead and hang up and keep listening. So, hey, I appreciate you taking my call.
Hey, thanks for calling in. You call in anytime, brother.
I will. Y'all take care.
All right.
Thanks, Jocko.
Hey, you have a good one, Jocko.
Yeah, good question. But yeah, even though it seems like I said before, never-ending, unbeatable evil, we still fight it. That's what we're here for.
Well, a lot of people make the case also that if they're suffering from as a child being a victim of it, that they should receive some type of leniency in the court system when they're convicted of it, saying that, they probably never would have been this way had they not been a victim of it themselves when they were a child, instead of saying that it's self-perpetuating. And I mean, I get the argument, but I don't know that it's really an acceptable argument for leniency. If anything, I think you should maybe get a harsher sentence because you know firsthand how much it screwed you up.
Yeah, and that's the sad part, is because they're literally, this is a major generational thing, like we said, going back thousands and thousands of years, since I basically think for a long, long time, since before there was even records, probably has been going on. But yeah, and they're all abused. Their dads were abused. Their grandfathers were abused. It's just an ongoing system of torture, especially the real SRA, the bloodline real SRA. I'm not talking your normal pedophiles out there. Well, not that they're normal, but a lot of them were also molested, but it's not so much generational as the SRA. The real stuff, the deep bloodlines, are all multi-generational. It's what they're raised like you said earlier. They think it's normal. They see nothing wrong with it. It's the way their life has always been. So they don't think they're doing bad things to their own children because it got them where they're at. It's hard to explain, but there is power in it. There is real magical power in this stuff, and that's what hooks them basically. But yeah, there should be no leniency, period. If you're busted, you should be busted.
Yeah, and if not, it's actually, like I said, it should be the opposite of leniency. I think something like that should warrant a harsher sentence because, I mean, unless you're going with going for some type of insanity plea, as far as being put in a nut house versus the jailhouse. Other than that, that's the only variation I see. Not less time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, either way, you should be going somewhere for life. If you want to go to a nut house, that's cool by me. You know what I mean? I don't care where you go, as long as wherever you go is away from the children for the rest of your life. It don't got to be jail. It could be the crazy bandit. It don't matter. Just get them away from the children. That's all that matters.
So, yeah, wow, really tough subject to talk about here tonight, but I'm glad we did get into it because, if we were here talking about Mandela effects like we were going to, it probably would have been a weak subject and probably wouldn't have carried the
Well,
broadcast.
yeah. Y- yeah, they do.
Oh,
Well,
Jason, you're roboting
yeah,
on.
we always got another week too. I mean, it's not like this is the last show ever.
Well, I hope not. What's that noise? I think my electricity's failing.
I don't know. Everybody in chat's nuking their supper. Cowboy's having pizza and Jenny's having a baked tater.
Oh,
A nuke tater, not baked. Nuke tater.
nuked.
A radiator.
Radiator. I like that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
got you up with him.
Yeah, you sure do.
Well, the whole thing is it
Jason, you sound like you're a little
it
bit
You're
mute.
robot.
really is
You're robot on us,
impossible
Jason.
to explain.
He's roboting up.
Yeah, he sounds like he's in slow motion.
That like
It's so
but
absolutely impossible to explain. And if you're raised in it, you do got that.
I like nuked potatoes, man. Just nuke them in the microwave for about 8 minutes till they're soft. Put the fork on it. They fall off the fork. They're done. Put some butter on them. Salt and pepper that thing. Not too bad.
I like lots of butter.
Well, I got something I can say about this. And I don't
Now
know
he's
if this
back. Now we
this
can.
live show to go over the show the show, but it's in the chat too. But as far as these pedophiles go,
I think everybody's nuking things in their microwave at once, and it's messing with
all right, can
Jason's
y'all hear me now?
transition.
Oh yeah, butter's awesome. Yeah, what's up with that? I have no idea. I mean, Armored Doves just tried to say something, and all of a sudden, there you were, now you're gone. What's going on?
You were breaking up, but we hear you now.
All right. Let me tell you what should happen with pedophiles. One, they should be prayed for. I'll agree with you 100% on that one. Two, they should get kneed in the scrotum so hard their testicles come out of their throat. 3, castrate them. First, second, third offense.
Yeah, I could agree with that. But also, having been in prison, I did get to see the satisfaction of what happens to them on the inside. So believe me, they don't have a gentle prison life.
Oh, no, I know they don't. They don't have a pretty jail life either when they're in county jail either. So
It's amazing how even what we consider the low life of the earth, robbers and stuff like that, actually bring justice to the pedophiles. It's something quite amazing to see. I enjoyed it while I was in prison watching it.
It's amazing. It's painful to watch as well.
It's somewhat painful, I guess, but not when you realize what they did. It's sort of justice.
Yeah.
Although it's the wrong kind, and I'm trying to keep remembering that. I got the armor on. We don't fight flesh and blood. I got to keep telling myself that. But I wasn't partaking. I was just watching. And maybe I was enjoying a bit too much.
Yeah, you got to keep that armor up, man. You got to keep that armor up. Now, I have a question for you, here, armor. I got told it was wrong to research old religions.
That's, in my book, that's insanity because I research every religion and tale and fables, and I can get my hands on. How else are you going to know the truth? Father's in everything. I don't care what anybody says. I know people don't. I don't care. Father's in everything. Long before we ever knew he was father, he's in everything. He's in the Babylonian. He's all through everything. We just got to find him, just like our own Bible. He's in there. He ain't who we think he is, unfortunately, most of us, but he's there. He really is there, and he's really in everything. The story is the same throughout history. That's the amazing thing. When you really research the old religions, which I definitely do, and it's amazing how they parallel so much. All of them. They all have their similarities throughout history.
Yeah, now I was looking. I've been, I was raised with, as you know, I was raised with Wicca in my life, but my grandmother. I did not realize there was two different versions of Wicca until probably 10 years ago. You've got the original Wicca, which is, according to the high priest that I talked to last week, 4,000 years old. And then you've got the new Wicca, which is the new age stuff they sell you in the bookstores today. There's a huge difference. I did not know that. I also did not know that half the beliefs of Buddhism correlate to the old Wicca. I did not know that.
And where does Druidism fall into all of that?
Deb, can you get me a beer? Druidism is something I don't.
Druidism was more from the Irish, Scottish, German, more over in Europe type religion. It was sort of
Druidism is.
It's more innate.
Druidism, instead of the triple goddess, they've got, believe this or not, and I still don't believe this. The god
I always
Pan.
thought that was Ripley's, but maybe I'm mistaken.
No, we got the god Pan. The god Pan is the one that gave the Druids the ability to do what they do. It is born of the goddess. Now, how this works, I don't know. I might be full of I'm probably full of shit right here. But no, in all reality, the Druids are another version of Wicca. It just depends on what side of the channel you're on. You could be on the Irish side, as it is today, or the British side. There's Wicca, there's Witta, which is the same exact thing. It's all the same thing. The Druidism, that is the male version of Wicca with a male god.
And what I find most interesting is these ancient teachings, like the what I guess, for lack of a better word, you would call them esoteric, um, not necessarily Illuminati or anything like that, but maybe a little bit of Freemason. But these just where the stuff that's been lost, that's no longer readily available, that you would have to actually search, the Vatican to actually find these tablets and these documents and these scrolls and these. That's the stuff that I would find the most interesting to get my hands on, to see what information is there.
Yeah, there's
Yeah, and when we go into talking about Wicca with and Druidism, now we're going into a religion so old that the Vatican won't even have that paperwork. They won't have any documentation on it because that religion was already dead in its original form, except for very few practitioners before Jesus was even born. And I call Wicca a very beautiful religion because it really is. The original religion is really a beautiful religion. It really, truly is. However, there's no way to make it work in our modern day of society.
Well, of course not. And anything that the powers that be is trying to suppress or keep or label bad, the obvious, there's probably that's probably got the most good in it. Anything that we're told is up is usually down, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, yeah, what up is it, Alan? I mean, if you look at anything in any church, doesn't matter. They're going to tell you one thing when actual reality is something else altogether completely different. And it's not that they mean to do this. It's not that they try to do this. It's just that they do it.
All kinds of doctrinations, all kinds of different denominations, churches, and stuff like that. And you can go all the way back. You're talking about ancient old religions. You got the Mayans, who I don't even know what their religion was. They had their own religion. I believe they believed in the sun god. If I'm not mistaken, please correct me if I'm wrong.
No, this is sun god.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's what we talk about when we're talking about different gods. When God's Armor told me about that and said that's why we shouldn't refer to the one God, we should refer to him as the Father. That's where I get confused. But I'll let him explain it. I can't do it justice the way he explains it. I'll let him. Would you like to explain that, sir?
Well, basically, all I said was the reason I call him others, because to me, calling him God with a capital G is no better than calling him any other creation with a capital letter. Because what we call gods, and I believe they did exist. I believe Zeus and Hermes and Saturn and Pan, and I believe all these deities existed. I don't believe that was their names. I believe that's what those people called them at that time. They go by many names, but they're still just a creation. They're still just the fallen angels. They were still created beings, just like us. The only thing that isn't created is the Father, Son, and Spirit that we know of. And we only know of those three levels because that's all we're taught. We don't know. Maybe there's way more than that. Maybe it's way beyond a Trinity. We don't know. But going by what we believe we know, and from what almost all older religions describe, there's usually always a Trinity type thing. There's usually always two brothers that seem to be at war in most older religions, or there's always something like that. And
A yin and a yang, so to speak.
yeah, and the head parent type thing. So there's always basically, but either way, what I was saying is, so calling the Father God with a capital G, like that makes it better, is still just calling him a creation. And he's not a creation. You might as well call him Pony with a capital P, because it's still a creation. He's not God. He's way beyond what we use. That's why when everyone gets confused on the Trinity about is Jesus God when he talks to the Father, and I'm like, that's the whole problem with the term God, because if we're going to use that term, then yes, Jesus is God with a capital G, but he isn't the Father, who is also God with a capital G, because that's one of the whole tricks of this religion, this Christianity, this one, the Judaism started, or not Judaism, but Israel, the Israelites, the whole book that we call the Bible was written basically by the Israelite people. So it's all from their perspective. And this whole term God, when you read it in the original language, it's always Elohim. And Elohim is known to be plural. So they use it in place of a one. Like I said, it gets real deep to get into. But basically, the whole reason I just don't call God, and I still do, I slip up sometimes, or if I'm reading something it's already written, I'll use the term. But the whole reason I try to call him Father when I speak about him is because to call him God with a capital G is just to call him another creation. Because gods are created. They were created beings just like us. They're real. They were here, I believe. All the stuff is true. It's what people witnessed. It was their way of describing it. They called them gods. That was all part of the fall. It was all part of the Tower of Babel when that all happened. Actually, what I trace back, according to this religion, at the Tower of Babel, when he split it, and the Yahweh guy said, I'm taking this group. You guys got those groups. Teach them the right way. Right there is where all the gods came from in this religion. So, but they're all created beings, so that's why I don't call him God with a capital G. It's because you might as well call him car with a capital C, or horse with a capital H, or tree with a capital T, because gods are created beings just like everything else. There is no created God. That's impossible. So it makes no sense to call the creator, who is not created, a creation, basically. Hope that makes sense.
So let me get everyone's thoughts on this. I was thinking while you were saying that about fallen angels and about the bloodlines and about the Jesus bloodlines as well. Like they talk about Jesus bloodlines. You see these people, what I like to call fallen gods. Like there's gods and there's living gods. You see these people with amazing strengths. They could like lift up cars and stuff like that. And I think that anybody has that power within them, of course, if they have, the willpower or whatever. But you see people, they go for months and months without lifting weights. And I'm just, wondering, does anybody here believe in like fallen gods or living gods that are still here on earth that might have been results from crossbreeding of the fallen angels, or even maybe might be resulted from the Jesus bloodline?
Nobody else wants to touch that one? I was waiting to see if anyone else wanted to go. I just talked for 10 minutes.
I mean, I don't have anything to
like
add
the
to
way
that. I
you-
don't believe that there's any current
I
gods
like the way
living on
you
Earth
put
or
that.
anything like that.
Well, I mean, you hear about the people that can lift cars and stuff, and I'm not saying that I'm a living God or anything, but I can go for months without lifting weights,
No, I'm not going
and
to call. I'm not
I
going to
still have
call.
what you call natural muscle.
I'm not going to call on any specific.
I think we don't. I think humanity sells itself short in the sense that we always forget like that we're made in God's image, that we are in a sense godlike beings, that we should when we look at ourselves in the mirror, when you look into you look at yourself, look into your eyes. I mean, there's something majestic about the human body, the human soul, the human spirit, all put together as something noteworthy. I mean, it's there. It's a majestic thing. I'm not saying that the humans at themselves are gods, but we really should give ourselves more credit than we actually do. I think as far as how much value we each person in itself brings to the world, its own. It's the own sense of worth that a person has. I think a lot of times people sell themselves short.
Well, yeah, we all do. We all sell ourselves short, and that's mainly our greatest folly. We
Yeah,
all sell ourselves short.
yeah, absolutely. And it's funny you just brought up about being made in God's image. I've just been looking at that a little bit the last week, thinking about it and looking at different stuff on it because I mean, I just didn't really ever understood what it means. And like I said, every time something, I just knew I had to figure out, look at it a little more, put it that way, because it was piquing my interest. What does this really mean? I mean, we're not, God doesn't have a body, so it can't be talking about our physical appearance. So I just started thinking about it, praying about it, looking at it. And I think the fact that we're made in God's image all ties into the fact that we do have the power to create. God, yeah, like you got me saying God. Father's image is a creator. We know he's a creator. We know Father's love. And that's basically the two main things we know about the Father from Jesus. We know he's forgiving, graceful, mercy, all the other traits of love. But the main image we have of Father, and Jesus said he's going to show us the Father. He showed us the Father. If we've seen him, we've seen the Father. We know that. So the only image we have of the Father is his love, and he creates. So I think us being made in Father's image is we need to realize, like you said, there is something very special there. And it's the fact that we can create, whether we mean to or not, we create with our thoughts, with our words, mainly with our words, and mainly with our thoughts. We create, whether we mean to or not, we either create good or we create what we call evil. There's no way around it. It's just what happens every time we think or say anything. It's the power we have. It's God's image. We create. We also are supposed to be love. So if we get back to being God's image, what we're meant to be before this whole mess happened, and Lucifer had his fall, and Satan came in the picture, and the Watchers showed up, and the world just went downhill from there in all kind of different ways because there's everything walking around. Before all that happened, we were beings that understood love like the Father does, and like he's constantly trying to teach us. We just talked about this on Dan's show with a caller last night about, absolutely, he was saying about how the Father was teaching him love. Absolutely. That's more than anything, the love that we can't even comprehend it, but that's God's image, the love and the creativity. And that's why we're warned to take every thought captive. That's why we're warned that life and death is in the tongue. That's why Jesus warned us over and over and over to do everything in love and be careful what you think and say, because it all matters. We don't understand how important we are in this spiritual battle. Like I said, whether we know it or not, we're fighting for somebody just by thinking and speaking the things we speak. We either just help the dark side or we just help the light side. There is no in between. Every thought, every word. That's what it's all about. That's what we got to wrap our heads around. That's why we need the Spirit to tell us what to say and when to say it. That's why we need to keep our mind on the things above and not the things below. It's all through what Jesus taught us. It's all through the older religions. Talk about love and peace and happiness and oneness. And it's the same lesson throughout eternity. We have the power to destroy and create. It's the reason Satan and them got mad in the first place, because they didn't have the power to create. They were jealous. We were made above the angels. I know the book says right below them, but it's a lie. We were made just above the angels, just below the Father is where we were made in the hierarchy, not below the angels. That's why we judge them in the end, because we're above them. They didn't like it. A third of them didn't like it. That's why they bailed. They were jealous. Jealousy came in their heart. He's a jealous God, remember? Not the Father, but there's a jealous God. Oh, there's a big jealous God.
And then to harp in on what you said to love and to create. And I can't think of a better example than that manifestation than in the families that we create. Because first of all, we find somebody to love, and then we marry them, and then we create children, and those children are probably our most divine creation. Again, it's almost like in the same sense that they're in the image of us. Most often than not, your kids look somewhat like either the mother or the father or a combination of both. And that is like probably the most important thing that every human can relate to, in a sense of loving and creating something, because anybody can do it. I mean, unless you have some type of medical issue that prevents you from being able to reproduce. Now, granted, your ability to love and create a family is all manifested, the success and the well-being of it, through all the things that you just mentioned, as far as doing it correctly, and having creating that positive feeling and that positive image for your family. But when you went into love and create, that's the first thing that came into my mind, is the family that we create, the people around us that we affect most, is most likely going to be the ones that we actually do create and that we love the most.
Well
Yeah,
said, man. I
yeah.
mean,
Like,
oh, sorry. Go ahead, man.
and another cool thing about that is, like I've said before, I have no clue who my biological sperm donor was. Don't know his name. Don't know anything about him. Have no clue. Don't really care. But I was raised by three different dads, basically, over my lifetime. I mean, all great people. So I was luckier than most people. Most people have one dad. I had three. Of course, now they're all gone but one. But anyhow, what I was going to say is, like you said, made in his image, even though there is absolutely no blood relation between the men I called dad, I still picked up their image, their attributes. I talk the way they talk. There's certain lines I say that they say. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, and I can say the same for my stepson. He mimics me in a lot of ways that you would never. I get a lot of times like that I could. The people will think that he's actually my son when we're out in public and stuff.
exactly. Yep. So it don't even have so much to do with the fact that we create the child. If we just, I'm like saying, if you adopt or whatever, you're still creating that child. You know what I mean?
I totally buy into what you're saying, 100%.
I'll tell you what, man. You talk about creating children and stuff like that. I wasn't even going to go that far. I was just thinking about the way we create art or the way we create
No, let me add to that.
stuff like
We've got it.
it was. I'm sorry, Jason. Go ahead, man. I was just going to add to what they were saying, say that my belief is, yeah, we have the ability to create babies or life or whatever, but my thought is that the Father actually creates the souls, and the Father actually
you're on a delay.
The Father actually breathes life into the baby or whatever. And if this is just my opinion, of course, all of these are just my opinions, but my thought on it was that he actually breathes life into that person, and that is if whether they're going to be born or not. Like if they're not born or they die after they're born, then it just was never meant to be. That maybe, I don't want to say this without sounding controversial, but maybe they didn't have a soul that was created for them at that time, or maybe it just wasn't meant to be. You know what I mean? I don't mean to say that by sounding like they weren't alive, because they probably were alive, but it just, the Father says, well, it's just not meant to be.
I don't like that analogy at all, because that makes it sound like the Father let that baby die. See that? We created this world. We got to quit putting the blame on the Father for cancer and babies dying and pedophiles, and the Father has nothing to do with any of that. He didn't create none of that. We did. We got to step up and realize who we are and what we've made of this world. Yeah, we were influenced heavily by a lot of bad things, but we created this. We're the reason that baby didn't make it, because we created this system. We're the reason that fella died of cancer, and one of my best friends is fighting cancer right now, because we created the crap that's causing the cancer. Father had nothing to do with it. Nothing. Sorry.
Yeah, and then also on a side note, I mean, this is kind of taking it out on a limb, but when you start thinking about things like mortality, at least me personally, I start thinking, I honestly, I wouldn't want to live. Maybe I'm not saying I want to die, but I wouldn't want to live forever. I mean, but then if there was a reason to live forever, it would be to witness more creation. I mean, I would love to see. I mean, someday I'm going to die, and there's going to be thousands and thousands of great songs that still get written, thousands of great movies that still get made, thousands and millions of wonderful sculptures and paintings, and I mean, just all different kinds of art out there that I will not be able to witness or behold, simply because I get this limited window of enjoying it. So, with that being said, I think people need to just take more time to actually smell the roses while they're here, and appreciate the beauty in life that they have. So often we spend so much time every day just staring at our phones or staring at a television, or being sidetracked from the things that are really the most beautiful and precious things in our life, and that's the people, more often than not, the people around us. And that's really all I got to say.
Really, my train of thought, though, was is there not a plan? I just always thought there was a grand plan for everything, and maybe if something's not meant to be, it wasn't meant to be. It wasn't that humans it looks like Jason dropped out. It wasn't that humans aren't responsible for their own destiny or whatever. But having said that, I just, like, maybe I didn't word my words correctly. I was meaning to say that, like, yeah, we have free will, and what we create is up to us to help survive, or what not have you, but ultimately it's all in God's hands anyway, right? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, see, that's such a hard statement, because most people use that saying it's all in God's hands, so God let it happen. That's what I'm saying. Father doesn't let anything happen. Father, rather than saying it's all in Father's hands, we need to realize Father knows everything. So every bad thing that we've created and bad thing that happens and baby that dies and person that dies again, Father knew all that was going to happen. He didn't plan for that to happen just because he knew it. You see what I'm saying? He
Yeah, and
knows.
all
He knows
God can really do for that person is see them through it, give them the strength and the the divinity to survive a bad thing when it happens to them. But he can't just stop or decide bad things are going to happen. I don't think.
right, right. Father, rather than thinking he controls everything, which of course he does control everything just because he knows everything. It don't mean he's sitting here making every move on a chessboard by himself. That isn't the way it works, and that's sort of what it sounds like when, well, Father controls everything. Well, he also gave control to us, and then we in turn gave control to what most people call Satan. So he doesn't literally control everything that's happening. He knows everything that's happening, and he has a plan to make it all work out for the good in the end. That's the way it is. But he doesn't control all the bad things that are happening. He doesn't cause them to happen. He doesn't cause them not to happen. There are choices and the enemy's choices. There are free will working for the wrong side, basically. So he can't stop it because then we wouldn't have free will. And Father don't lie. Father can't go back on what he did. He created us. He has to deal with what happens. But he knew what's going to happen. So he already had a way out. He already has a big plan. And although we don't understand it, yes, everything is going to work out for good. That baby that died is going to work out for good. The person that died, it's all going to work out for good, even though we don't understand it. But to say that Father has it all in his control is true and false, depending on how you use that statement in your head, basically. Because Father isn't making all the moves against himself in a giant one-man chess game. But he already knows how the game's going to turn out. He already knows the moves is going to be made way before they're ever made. And he already has counter moves in place way before they're ever needed, is the way I look at it.
So what you're saying is ultimately it's in our hands, but we can't. I mean, we have no control over our own lives and deaths, though, is what I'm saying. And maybe he doesn't really, he doesn't cause us to live or die, or he doesn't cause us to die. I guess he causes us to live, like he gives us life, but he's just an observer and a listener. But
Well, to say he's an observer isn't quite right either, because he is trying to work. See, Father always works through things. Father always is a team player. That's why there's a Trinity. That's why there's Jesus and the Holy Spirit, because even since before creation, it's been a team thing. Ever since creation, it's been a team thing. Father always comes to humans and gets them to do his will. He can interfere, he can help out, but it's through us. That's why I try to wake people up to getting on the armor, getting in the fight, realizing you have a part to play. No, I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It is, you've got a part to play, a very important part, whatever it is.
We all have a part. We all have a part to play.
Exactly. So, shoot, now I lost my train of thought, but
Oh, sorry.
that's all right. Yeah, it comes and goes. But yeah, basically, to say he's observing isn't right either, because he wants so hard to get in the fight, but he only does it through us. A perfect example is when Jesus walked up to get Lazarus out the tomb. Jesus walks up, he prays out loud, and then says, I know I didn't have to do that. I know you already know what I wanted, but I did it so that people would understand your glory. Something to that effect. I paraphrase. And then he tells the people, roll away the rock. Okay? This is to show you exactly how the Father operates. And you see this all throughout what Jesus does, all throughout everything he does. He tells people, roll away the rock. And they're like, well, we don't want to roll away. He stinks, la-di-da-di-da. Now, the dude is about to raise a man from the dead, okay? Do you not think that same dude could just roll away a rock with a thought? But that ain't what the Father does. He wants us involved. So he says, hey, I'm going to call him out, roll away a rock. All you got to do is roll away a rock and watch what happens. And the people roll away a rock and boom, a miracle happens. He goes to a blind guy, spits in his hands, makes some clay, sticks it in his eyes, says, now, you go wash at a pool. Again, our part. We have our part. He never does anything without us. Not that he can't, but that's just the way he does it. Father is a group effort. Father does nothing on his own. Father didn't even create on his own. The Spirit and Jesus created with him. Father does nothing on his own. Jesus came to tell us we are supposed to be the sons of God. Here's the power you got. Here's what you're going to do. Here's how you do it. Do this, you're going to bring heaven on earth. Do this, kingdom come. It's all about that. Yet we're not taught any of that. We're taught to say magic words and everything's going to be all right. We ain't taught anything about the real Father or anything. We're taught nothing.
Oh, come on, quit making fun of my family members.
He who helps
Oh my God.
those can only help those who help themselves. Is that what it basically amounts to? Like when you say a prayer, he's going to help you the best way that he can, but you've got to also help yourself.
Well,
And
yeah.
that's why prayer is our most important weapon. That is us giving our will to the Father. That amongst other things. I mean, it's all about being in the fight. It's all about realizing who you are and being in the fight. Father can do miracles. We were told we're going to do greater things than Jesus did. But how many of us are doing it? None that I see. At least
Right.
very, very.
I mean, you can pray for anything on earth. And I mean anything.
Right. Okay. Yeah. You've explained it better
And
than I could put it
but
into words.
if you
I have
put
a
the
hard
effort
time
out,
seeing the physical point of it, because
If
I've
you-
always been taught that everything's in the Father's hands, that we should just leave everything to the Father and it's all in his hands and he could
no.
fix everything. But it, as you said, in terms that I can understand, it's all a group effort. We have to all work together, and we have to, because we have free will. So that makes a little bit more sense, that we have free will, and the Father's not going to take away our free will, because he would, what you said, it would make him into a liar and whatnot. So he's only going to help us if we give up. I'm not going to say give up our free will, but I'm saying ask him. Just ask him and say, look, I need you to intervene. I need your help. I need this. And he's not going to exactly give us this or that or whatever. But like you said, it's like a group effort, right?
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong on that.
No, you're absolutely right. You've got to meet him halfway. And
Like
it's the same
have
way it
to
crossed. That's the
kinda
same way it crossed 37
help each
religions.
other out, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. You gotta help each other out.
Jason, I don't think Hebrew can hear you. That's why he keeps talking over you.
Oh
If
shit! I'm
you're
sorry, dude.
trying to get
Yeah, let me go ahead and jump out of here. You're probably
one
answering my
thing
questions, and I just don't
done.
know it. Look, I apologize for that, man. Let me jump out of here and jump back in. That'll correct the situation usually. Sorry, guys.
or
Jason, you're breaking up really bad. Like your words are indistinguishable. Like I can't make out what you're saying.
Yeah, you're roboting again.
Well, that was a lot that just happened, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Um, and it's funny how we can get like started in one direction and the conversation just kind of manifests itself down that road, and it just kind of happens automatically as we get started here.
no, it's on me. It's on me.
Yeah,
It's
you still
on
sound
my
terrible,
end.
man. You
I think
sound
it's glitching like that. He can't hear us
It's
either.
on my end.
I can hear you now, brother. Well, I could a second ago, but you cut out, buddy.
yeah. Even when I could hear him, he sounded like it's hard to explain, but you couldn't make out what he was saying.
What?
I personally got about 10 more minutes, and I got to get off here. To be honest with you.
Yeah, we've been going a while.
Yeah, we've been going for what, 3 hours almost?
Probably darn near.
Hey, I wanted to follow in Dan's footsteps and, have a 3-hour marathon. Why not?
Yeah.
But I basically did I understand you correctly, God's armor, of the stuff you were saying though? I wanted to make sure I wasn't misunderstanding you.
I think so, pretty much. It was pretty hard because Jason and you were both talking, and I couldn't really hear either one of you. So he was roboting, and you were talking, and so everything was sort of all garbled up there for a little while.
Well, I'll tell you what,
But
guys.
I think we covered some good ground, and I think the conversation kind of, we kind of, I don't know, it was just some of the stuff we talked about. I think it was really good topics to talk about.
Yeah, it went a little deeper than I hoped, but I'm glad it did. I really am. So I shut down the conference lines. And what we'll do next, if you want to, if you can, how many people we got watching? About 10?
I don't know. I can see the chat, but I can't see how many's watching.
Oh, okay. Well, could you do me a favor real quick and do a last shout out then?
All right, we had Cowboy, Jocko R, Bo Sporting a Wrench. Jenny Purr was here earlier, but she couldn't hear us. Her phone was messing up, so I don't think she stayed. Let's see, who else do we have?
Anybody listening, also remember to give the video a thumbs up, please.
Oh, Eddie Von Keen, I believe, still hanging with us. He usually hangs till the end. And we had Metamorphosis Fantalities was also in the room earlier. Don't know if they're still here.
All right. Well, let me just, you know what? Just for that, I'll give you one of these. Good job, man. Excellent job. Really, really appreciate it.
Oh, my goodness.
Of
That's
course,
awesome.
oh, there's Jason. He's back. So if anybody's got any final thoughts they'd like to add, we can wrap things up.
Well, Jason was trying to say something. Hopefully we can hear him now.
Okay, I'll just shut my ugly mug. I can't hear him.
Well, he ain't talking yet because none of us can hear him.
I
Sorry.
love the part where you were saying God with a capital G. It might as well be Pony with a capital P. That really hit home with me.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just the way I look at it. He showed me that a long time ago. And that's the whole reason I say Father. And it don't bother me if someone says God, because I slip up and say God. Father don't care. It bothers me. It don't bother him. It bothers me. You know what I mean? I don't know how to explain it. It ain't like Father said, don't ever call me that. No, I don't like it. It's a pet peeve, I guess.
You know, how many times have you hit yourself?
Well, if that's all we have, then
Wait, Jason was just going to talk. He
oh,
started
sorry,
talking.
sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, I'll shut my pie hole.
All right, everybody. It looks like the show is going to get, shut down for the night. I don't know what they've got for their outro. It's all good. I wish everybody a great night. And my prayers and my thoughts for the night. And even the people that did not turn in to the show tonight, they catch it later. I'm praying for you as well. Now we're going to let these knuckleheads get back on here and have their fun. In the Father's name and the Goddess's name we pray. Amen.
All right. Well,
All right. Well, that was a great way to close it out, I believe.
I heard him because I had to go to my phone, but I heard him. Thanks, Jason, for being here, and thanks for those kind words. And I really appreciate everyone for being here.
I'm a nutcase.
God's armor, Sagittariusly speaking. Thank you once again for joining me, being part of the panel. Thank you.
Yep, always a pleasure.
Oh, and Sagittariusly speaking, I'm glad that you're back, man. It's good to have you back on the program. I'm glad you got your phone issues all figured out.
Yeah, at least for the moment, everything seems to be working fine, and hopefully it'll continue to be that way. Thank you for the kind words.
Yeah, definitely good to have you back, Sadie. Maybe next week we'll get to go through the Mandela list.
It's not like they're going anywhere. They'll still be there next week.
Yeah, they will. It's just a
So,
matter
okay.
of
Is Jason speaking? I can't hear him.
I'm trying to.
Oh, sorry, guys. Okay, well, anyway, so the longest goodbye. Sorry about that. But for everybody here at the Hebrew channel, this is Hebrew 77, along with God's Armor, Sagittariusly speaking, and Jason saying so long, everybody, and have a good night.